We act all formal here.
I know.
Lilou Bosse,
Yes.
welcome to the Pirate.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
So, can you tell us, first of all, your qualifications and what you do?
So I fly single pilot on a Piper Navajo in
I've heard of
Alaska.
those.
Yeah, I know. They're fun little things. And it's been a good time at Lake Clark Air.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And so you did all of your training in Vegas
Yeah.
on a super fast track.
Yeah. Yeah, my
So,
own Part 61 fast track.
hell yeah. Tell us about that.
It was super quick. I like visited the flight school, then a day later was flying, and then the biggest break I had from flying was like 4 days
Holy
since I
crap.
started. Yeah, it was wild. Private pilot took 3 months. Then I did instrument. That took the longest. That was like 3.5, 4.
Mhm.
And then commercial was 1. And then after that, I went to Ohio at like one of those fast track schools to do my CFI and CFII.
Nice. I
Yeah.
didn't know that.
Yeah, and that took 2 weeks in total.
And you said you didn't have a plastic license
No,
until you
I
got MPL.
yeah, till my multi, I finally had an actual license. All of them were temporaries. I was always handing the DP a piece of paper and be like, "What is this? I'm so sorry, my bad." So yeah, it was really quick, and then started instructing right after that, and then did 1100 hours of dual given, and then came up here.
Nice. So, what were the contributing factors with going through flight school so quick?
I just had the time. I just worked a part-time job at
Hmm.
that time, just to pay for gas and whatnot,
Hmm.
and just didn't have to pay rent because my dad helped me out with that. He just let me live at his place because he knows how time-consuming it is and stuff and how expensive it is.
Yeah,
So I got to live rent-free, just paid for gas.
perfect.
And yeah, I would just go every single day. Just found a CFI right away and stuck with the same CFI the whole time.
That's
I think
good.
that was a huge thing.
Dude, I got super lucky getting
Yeah,
my CFI because I didn't realize until I was like,
yeah,
months into training that there were really crappy CFIs out there.
yeah. Like people who just want to build time and whatnot,
Yeah, and they were
and you
just,
just don't even learn, and then you switch, and then
yeah,
you have to relearn like some stuff with another CFI. It's like I would say getting a good CFI at the start is perfect. And he was like super low time too. He only had like 100 hours of dual given or whatever.
really.
But he was just so passionate about it and whatnot. I was like, okay, this is a good CFI.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So
And then it
that
was just the same one.
you could kind of sense that from the beginning. That,
Yeah. Like
yeah.
he right away wasn't talking about like what the plan is and stuff. He was just showing me his little flight sim on his phone. And I was like, oh, this is the one.
You're like, what a nerd. I'll take him.
Seriously, nerd. So I stuck with him the whole time.
That's
And
awesome.
he flew his butt off too. So
Yeah.
it worked out.
Do you know where he is now?
Sky West. And he's waiting for a class date with Hawaiian. He's
Nice.
already in there, but Hawaiian is like backed up. So he's waiting.
That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
So, Lilou is actually my counterpart at work. We both are single pilot captains of the Piper Navajo, and I started a couple of weeks before you,
Yeah.
and then I was assigned basically a discovery flight with you.
Yeah.
And
That's
I
right.
heard about your time and your experience, and I was like,
You're like, ah, shoot.
yeah, I didn't, because I've seen so much from people who come up from the States, and it's like, oh, it's really cold here. Oh, I have to load and I don't get paid to load.
Yeah.
Oh, I'll just go to the airlines.
Yeah.
And like, and then you got online, and and as soon as they gave you a Navajo, it was that was it, man. You were out after it, and you were sending it.
Yeah.
You were you were pushing the airplane as far as it was safe to
Yeah.
push. You were making good decisions, and like I I was blown away by how quickly you picked it up and how
Yeah.
fast you went
Thank
after
you.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I know everybody was skeptical when I came in because it's like she
Yeah.
came from Vegas.
I know. I didn't mean that as a compliment.
No,
I was
totally.
like, my expectations were real low.
She hasn't gone through a cloud. Obviously, it's Vegas. Yeah,
Yeah.
no, it was definitely like I don't know. It was a shot in the dark.
Yeah.
You know, the chief pilot made a bold move with that one. And I didn't even know what to expect when I came up, but it was just like, this is what it is. It's like everybody wants to come up to be a bush pilot, but a lot of people just, I don't know, they don't want to do the whole, like you said, loading and not getting paid for it and whatnot.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of that up here. So
Yeah.
kind of just have to do it.
And I mean, like, you pay for every story that you get from. I mean, you get it's some sexy flying. Like, it's cool.
Yeah.
And like, it's romantic, and that's what really drew me to it. But like, it's not free. Like, you're out there when it's cold and it's raining and it should be snowing, but it's still rain, and like
Yeah.
it's terrible, and you have to wait on the ramp.
Yeah, for like every 2 days of good flying, you probably had like 4 days of just crap. Where you're
Yeah.
just like, I'm over this. Like, I
Yeah.
just want a nice sunny day. That's it. Yeah.
So, what was the biggest adjustment for you coming up here?
Mm, flying wise,
Yeah.
there wasn't that much flying wise, to be honest. I think the whole weather thing was an adjustment, like
Hmm.
lack of TAFs and whatnot.
Yeah.
But that was about it. Yeah, and then maybe like all the work that we do before every flight, like
Yeah.
getting used to like that routine. Also, not forgetting anybody. That was like a huge concern of mine. I would always write their names on like a post-it
yeah.
note. I'm like, okay, do we have this person?
Yeah.
That was an adjustment. I never
Oh,
had
yeah.
to ever pay attention to that, you know?
I remember when we first started, there were those two people who they bought tickets from us,
Mhm.
but then somebody showed up before us and they got on somebody else's plane and the pilot didn't check.
Are you
And
talking about the one where it was like the state trooper
I
and
don't
like a prisoner?
was it?
I think
They
because
ended
remember
up
they got on a helicopter.
they ended up
instead?
on a helicopter. Yeah, they took a
And more south than they were supposed
yeah.
to be.
And
That
it was like, what part of, like, have you ever seen us fly a helicopter? Did you, like, what? I didn't realize it was a
Yeah, no, it was
police
like a
officer.
state trooper with like a prisoner, and he was trying to get him back to Anchorage, but they just hopped on a helicopter because nobody checks that stuff up
Yeah.
here. Like it's just so willy nilly. Like,
Yeah.
hey, just be here at this time in like Port Hayden. You
Yeah.
know,
It's just a gravel strip, and you
Yeah.
pull off on the side, and like
no check-in.
people show up in their Jeeps and they like jump off. Sorry, expeditions,
Yeah,
and they hop off and they get on your plane, and that's it.
yeah.
Yeah.
That was kind of different for me. It's like there's no. I know it's organized somewhere, but
Just
I
not
just
here.
don't know where.
And you don't have real good communication with the place where it's organized. Just
On
like
the Garmin tracker, just like, who is this? They're already in the plane. Yeah, I've had that before. I'm like, I have too many people right now. I'm confused. They're like, oh no, we
Yep.
added like two. Don't
Yep.
worry.
Yeah,
Okay.
I remember one time I was taking people. It was a charter flight out of Igagik, and I was doing charters, just out, pick up 8 people, come back, 8 people, come back.
Oh, I
and
remember when we were doing that.
yeah, oh, it was such a sweet gig.
That
Just
was-
two flights would time you out.
Yeah.
Half of the flying was completely empty,
It was
and
so-
the weather was great then, so it was just like get up and cruise and hang out by
Yeah.
yourself for 4 hours, and then
those were pretty nice. What
Yeah.
was that for? That was for like the
the
seafood
the
people?
fishery, yeah,
The fishery.
or cannery. But yeah,
That was cool.
I packed up all the people and was giving the briefing, and I noticed that these 2 Mexican ladies, one was sitting on the other's lap, and I was like, what is going on here?
What are you doing?
And I was like, all right, who's with the fishery? And everybody raised their hand except one guy, and I was like, sorry, dude, you're not on this airplane. I don't know what you're on, but it's not this one.
It's not this
And
one.
he went bonkers. Like, the driver for the fishery had to physically pull him off the plane.
I didn't know about
Yeah.
that. That's
I
so
like
rough.
the next time I saw the driver, I was like, dude, I'm so sorry that you were like in the middle of that. He was like, oh, dude, like no, he wasn't listening to you. Yeah.
He's used to it. Yeah, that part is pretty interesting. It's like we just show up, and
Yep.
then people also show up, and you're like, okay, I guess I'll take you and
Yep.
you and you and all your stuff.
Yep.
So yeah, I think that was probably a big difference.
So what about tell me about the flying? I mean, the flying itself. You've gotten into some icing.
Mm-hmm.
The Navajos are not specifically
Yeah.
capable in ice.
Yeah. Well, it feels like you're just taking a Cessna 172 into ice. They're not very capable.
No.
Um, Definitely my scary moments were definitely in that.
Yeah.
I'm just like, ugh, this sucks. And you're just eating up gas because you're like putting it at like 38 inches of manifold and you're just, ugh.
Yeah.
Yeah. The icing part is rough. And I wish the Navajo was just better at shutting it off because then it would be like no problem.
Yeah.
You know? Then it would be like, okay, we can just go into it and whatever. We don't have to worry about it. But yeah, that's been tough. And it's not like we have many routes to choose from either. When
Yeah.
we need to cross those mountains, it's like you need to be at this altitude, period. So that's been interesting. Learning curve.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like our typical route takes us from Anchorage southwest onto the peninsula, and that takes us across the Alaska range and what becomes the Aleut range. And so we have minimum IFR altitudes that we must adhere to, and the lowest that you can get across the range is actually in the break between the Alaska and Aleut ranges, and it's 6,100 feet.
Yeah.
But most of the time, our MIAs, minimum IFR altitudes, are 9,000 or above.
Yeah.
And so you like don't have a lot of options when the ice starts.
And then once you're over that, then it's like you don't really have anywhere to go.
That's true.
Like once you commit, you're committed.
Yeah.
So that's scary too.
Yeah.
You know, it's like the only other option is dropping down.
Yeah.
You know, and just canceling, which is unfortunate, but what else can you do?
Have you had to do that? Have you had to just
not yet
cancel your clearance?
No, I haven't had to do that yet. I've had to be nagging them like every 2 minutes, like lower please, lower please.
Yeah.
But that was more so on the Moff-Off Olamni route, so it wasn't like too bad. I didn't have to be at 9,000.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I canceled once and I kind of dropped down, but the pass was okay.
Yeah.
So I just took the pass. It's like, that's no big deal.
Yeah.
So
we end up overflying Lake Clark Pass. That has the highest it gets is I think 890 feet. The way we take it, something like that, less than 1,000 feet all the way through. So we can typically get, if you can see it at any point, you can. We fly right over the top of it, IFR. So if you can see it at any point, you can cancel and just shoot down into the pass and try to shed the ice.
Yeah, it works a little easier sometimes.
So tell me about flying on gravel and how...
That's been fun.
Yeah?
That is so cool. You just feel so cool when you're coming in and landing. You're like, oh man, not a lot of people get to do that.
Yeah, especially with like
with
a real airplane.
Dude, they're not made for that at all.
No.
But it's so cool.
Yeah.
I really like that part.
Yeah.
You know, like that's awesome. They don't even have the tires for it.
No.
But they manage.
Dude,
the Navajos manage.
I was doing some training this week with Chris Jackson, who owns Alaska Air Taxi. I was training.
What were you on?
I was training him in his new Navajo.
Ooh.
And he was taxiing around. He's like, something feels wrong about this. And now Chris has got a lot of time in tail draggers. And, they have otters and whatnot that his family's other business runs. So he's got a lot of time in those. He's like, man, something feels like it's loose or broken. And I was like, I'll take the flight controls. And I was like, no, that's what a Navajo feels like on gravel. It feels like it's going to break.
Seriously. That's the general consensus of Navajo. Is like it feels like it's gonna break. It might,
It might.
but you just ride that wave until
Yeah,
it does.
yeah, exactly.
Oh man, that's awesome. That must be fun though.
Yeah,
Like teaching him on Navajo and
it's a
whatnot.
sweet little bird. It's a
Really?
baby Navajo with the 540, so the big Navajo engines,
Mm,
and then it's got wingtips, the Q-tip props. It's got winglets, sorry,
mm.
Q-tip props, BLR, things quiet as a
That's
mouse.
so
You can take your
cool.
headset off and talk. Like I
That's
thought
crazy.
he poured the beans to it when we were
Mhm.
taking off, and I thought something was wrong. I was like,
It's
"There's
so
no,
quiet.
there's no noise."
Can't even hear yourself when you're taking off in the
Yeah,
Navajos.
no,
Can't hear yourself think.
yeah. They'll like the not only are they loud and the tip speeds are supersonic, but then they're going at different speeds, so it's like
When the turbo, like each of them decide to like actually go.
yeah, exactly.
So great. Just
Yeah,
yaw everybody.
yeah. Dude.
Oh man.
I heard, did I tell you about that time the guy I was like taking off, it was low at Merrill, and I was like I wasn't sure that the autopilot was going to fly the departure procedure, and
Yeah.
so I I was like trying to remember it in my head so that I could do it, uh, and I poured the beans to it. I could barely see like halfway down the runway, and it was a mile,
Hmm.
and those turbos, and the guy in the backseat goes, woo! Like at the top of his lungs, and I thought something was wrong, so I like cut the power for a second. I
That's
look back, and he's
hilarious.
got his arms up, and I'm like, oh.
That's awesome. Oh, what a chill passenger. He's probably used to it.
Oh yeah, he
He's
was
used to
like,
that stuff.
he lives like way out in the boonies. We were flying him to
Yeah.
like 40 miles away from his hut or something. He's gonna walk back in.
Oh man, that's cool. You can tell like who's used to it and who's not.
Yeah.
There's some people like they've been real nervous. Like I'm so sorry, especially in like the summertime when there was a lot of lodges and whatnot.
Yeah.
A lot of people I could tell I'd look back and they're just like gripping everything they could, like the books in front. Like, I'm so sorry.
Just hold on to those when you go down in the water.
Seriously. He has the sectionals. Don't you worry. Yeah, that always amused me a lot, especially like in turbulence.
Oh
So
yeah,
funny.
they start grabbing everywhere.
Yeah, yeah.
So how do you deal with that with the passengers? You just like head down, act casual, or
I do like your approach where like everything's fine. Like I'm super fine right now. And usually I am. Like it's just like, okay, like it's turbulence, who cares?
Mhm.
And then I think the passengers see that and then they're kind of okay.
Yeah.
Hopefully that helps a little. I don't know. I haven't asked them. I don't know what they're thinking.
Enjoy. Bye.
Safety brief. That's it. That's the end of our talking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, have you had any unruly passengers? Have you had any?
Oh,
Yeah.
there was one guy, the Pedro Bay guy. He was sitting kind of like right behind me,
Oof,
and he was
that's
just
so
making like
sketchy.
weird remarks the whole time.
Like
Like
what?
saying like his wife was right there, and he's like, "I love your hair. Your hair is amazing. Like you should be my pilot." Just like awkward comments. And
Oh,
he pulled my hair 3 times during that
are
flight.
you freaking?
My hair was down, and he just kept pulling it.
No,
It
dude.
was so
What the?
weird. I don't know if he was like high or something. Like I don't know what was happening, and he just kept pulling it. So I put it up eventually, and I was like, "You got to stop, man!" Like I was hand flying through the pass and whatnot. I was, I was so annoyed. And then we got off. He just kept making the same remarks. I was like, "Okay, you're on my no-fly list.
Yeah.
I'm done with you."
No, dude. That's
Yeah, that
so
was weird.
weird. That's the one thing about like, there's no divider between us and the
Mm-mm.
passenger right behind you. Like, that's a scary
Sketchy.
position.
It's it is scary. Sometimes I just like think about it in flight. I'm like, this person could strangle me right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a weird feeling. I
Yeah.
don't like it.
No. No,
No.
it is disconcerting. Chris's Navajo has the dividers, but they're like, a couple 100 pounds, so he's probably gonna take them out to make money.
Oh,
Yeah.
I wish we had those.
Yeah.
It's worth the 200 pounds.
Yeah, exactly.
It's worth it to me.
Just put a piece of the COVID plexiglass.
No, seriously.
Yeah.
So people don't cough on you. Yeah, that would be nice. Because it's like you don't know who you're picking up either.
No, you have no idea. It's
So.
just whoever paid for a ticket over the phone.
Yeah, and they don't really have
ago.
like security checks or whatever.
No, there's nothing.
Yeah.
Like,
so they can just get on.
Yeah. Like as pilots, we have as 135 pilots, we have the option to search any bags.
Yeah.
And that's about it. Like, we can turn down passengers if they're being unruly on the ground, but
yeah,
usually it takes them getting into the airplane before they start.
It's the airplane part where they just start freaking out.
Have you had anybody get super drunk or high on?
Yeah, I did have like one drunk lady.
Yeah.
But she was like enjoying it, and we were going through like ice and stuff, so I was like, she's not really hurting anybody, whatever. Like, I'm not gonna land and kick her off. Like, she's chilling out, like, vodka in a mug. I like every time she drank it, she was right next to me too. I smelt it. I was like, oh, what am I doing? This is so bad. Yeah. Maybe that one guy that was pulling my hair was probably a high.
Yeah. No.
Not that many though. I've never really had like your situation, like where they just got mad.
Oof. Yeah. I went. One of the only times I've gone missed out of.
Cockanock. Right?
Yeah, it was Cockanock.
Yeah.
I got in, and I was pretty close before this like band of fog got in the way, and it was pretty marginal weather anyway, so I was like, screw it, I'm not gonna try. And as soon as I turned away, she lost it, and she was right behind me. And that's the thing, it's like, if she's halfway through the back, whatever, more power to you, stay seated.
Don't worry, they'll take the seatbelt off and walk up.
Oh yeah, I know. Yeah, that was scary. What about? Have you had any close calls? Any acute learning experiences?
Yeah, there's probably like a few times I should have filed but didn't.
Yeah.
Like there's the one where I was going to Larson Bay, but you can't file to there because there's no approach anyways.
No, there's no weather, there's no approach.
I was like, I had to do this VFR.
Yeah.
So I'll just make it over VFR. Yeah. And I kind of got rushed out and just didn't file. And then when I was going there right above the ocean, I just hit this band of just like heavy rain, like really bad turbulence. And I was so over it. I had to go back to the Homer VOR, backtrack there because ATC like lost radar contact. It was just such a mess, so much work for a time where I could have just filed to maybe Kodiak and then ran that way. So
I was looking in the FARs last night because we both had a test this morning. And you reminded me to study.
How did you do on that, by the way?
I did okay.
Yeah,
he was like, "Oh, I don't think I need to test you on emergency procedures. It seems like you've got those down."
Yeah, for sure.
But we can file to a fix that's close by an airport that doesn't have an approach, and then have our alternate adhering to alternate standards minima. And so we basically, if we get to that fix and can cancel, then you do that. And if you get to that fix and cannot cancel, then you go to your alternate.
Oh, that's not too bad.
No, it's not. So seems like a handy way to.
Yeah, because Larson Bay is tricky. That was so tricky.
Yeah, there's no altimeter setting for 40 miles.
Yeah.
There's nothing that reports the weather wind
that's
that would
even
be
close.
No, there's because it's nestled in between. It's on Kodiak Island, and you have. I should have a map of Alaska.
That would be cool.
That's what I need to do. We'll put that right up here.
Yeah, that would be cool.
You go. It's Kodiak Island, and then the peninsula, and then Larson Bay is over here, and there's nothing that's like in between, over the water, anywhere near that would show you the winds or they've got a weather cam there, but it's tucked into a fjord that's
Yeah.
tucked into another fjord.
So yeah, you can get like a gist of the weather, but yeah, so that was my issue was the en route weather. I
Yeah.
didn't have anything, and I saw like a little on the radar like precipitation, but it wasn't that bad.
Hmm.
I was like, okay, this will be fine. Like whatever, I'll just kind of dodge it. Then I
Yeah.
just got into it, and it was just like a whole wall. Like
Oof.
this sucks. The
Yeah.
lady behind me, I remember at the beginning, she was like, "Can you please open this up so I can take like my anxiety meds?" I was like, "Okay, yeah, sure." And then when we like got in the plane, she really needed her anxiety meds. She was freaking out. It was bad. So
So I had a lot of anxious passengers over the summer, with the lodges and stuff. And so what I started doing, I started telling them, like, you know, you hear the 121 speeches, your safety is our first priority. Well, that's obviously not true.
yeah,
Like, you want to make money, I want to get there. We're accepting a higher level of risk
yeah,
than we otherwise would.
yeah,
Um, if it was truly the number one priority, we wouldn't do this flight, any flight, even on a beautiful day.
yeah,
Um, I just tell them, hey, look, you you look pretty nervous. Are you nervous? Hey, I don't know you.
mm-hmm.
I've never met you. I walked you out to the plane 5 seconds ago.
Mm-hmm.
But my goal is to get home to my wife and kids tonight. I
Yeah,
really want to do that. And
yeah,
no matter what happens today, I'm gonna do everything I can to
yeah.
make it safely back to my wife and kids. You just happen to be along for the ride. And it seems to really, like, I think, well, for
Calm them
one,
down.
it personifies me because, like,
Yeah.
otherwise I'm just a pilot,
Mm-hmm.
which is an interchangeable entity
Mm-hmm.
in an airplane that's another interchangeable entity, and
Mm-hmm.
both of these are unknowns. And
Mm-hmm.
so I think it seems to have worked.
That seems, yeah, I could see why that helps. I don't think in my case it would help. I'd be
Yeah.
like, I have a cat to get back to. You're like, all right, we're dying on this. So I don't think I could say that.
Fair enough. Fair
But
enough.
it's true, like we have our own will to live.
Yeah.
So we're gonna
Yeah.
probably do everything we can to live.
Absolutely.
I
Yeah.
don't know. And that's why it's like at this point I'm not really afraid to cancel flights or whatever. To
Yeah.
me, making that money and bringing those people is just not fair to the safety and what I promise people. It's like as
Yeah.
pilot, you're supposed to make the safest choice. So if you really don't like it, then just don't go.
Yeah.
I think that's a big part of like flying up here, like not to get pushed to go.
That's the thing. Like, there's kind of an expectation, no matter who you work for, 135 up here,
Yeah.
that you're going to push pretty hard.
Mm-hmm.
But being able to, I mean, you've got to make, you want to make money and you want to get hours, but you've also got to stay alive for long enough that the hours
Yeah.
count for something.
I was about to say they don't count if you're dead. So
That's
got to be pretty
exactly it.
good about that.
Yeah.
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 So I don't know. I think that's a part of it. I think they push a little bit harder up here than like the lower 48. I haven't
Probably.
done like 135 flying in the lower 48, but
Yeah.
I can imagine just a little more cowboy up here. Get it
Probably.
done.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm.
So, what have you? What about the Alaska lifestyle? What have you enjoyed about that? What surprised you? What have you not enjoyed about
Mm.
Alaska?
So far, I've pretty much enjoyed everything. Like everybody just seems pretty free willed up here. Do what you want to do. Like it's
Nice.
really cool.
Yeah.
And all the locations that we've been to have been beautiful.
Yeah.
Like Perryville, it's so pretty. So I enjoy all of that. I think now coming into the winter, the darkness is gonna be not fun.
Yeah.
I think that's gonna be, I don't know, dragging.
Yeah.
Like you wake up and it's just dark till right now, like 9 o'clock.
Yeah.
So I'm not looking forward to that at all.
Do you take vitamin D?
No.
You
I remember you telling me that.
Yeah. It's like I've
I
got
didn't do it yet.
I've got this app, or I had this app on my phone that showed me when the sun is high enough to actually produce vitamin D in your body, and when the next time will be. And I pulled it up over a month ago now, and to see when I could get some vitamin D that day, and it was like next D opportunity 168 days, and I was like, oh fuck.
You're like, we're in it now.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
that's rough.
Yeah.
I need to do that. Or like, you know, like those lamps, those natural sunlight
Oh,
lamps.
dude.
Those seem pretty cool.
The what the Antarctic Royal Antarctic Expedition, I think it was. He actually experimented with they got ice, they got caught in ice for over a year, and the doctor on board would have the sailors stand in front of the fire and have the fire raging for hours every day.
That's crazy.
Yeah, and so it probably actually gave them some vitamin D, but at least some will to live, you know?
Some will to live. It was just a morale thing.
Yeah.
Just
dude.
look at the fire. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know how to help you. Oh, jeez. But yeah, the snow and stuff hasn't been too bad yet.
No,
Like,
surprisingly.
Yeah, when we came, when we landed at International, it was warm. It was
Yeah.
like 30 something.
That's
It's like,
wild.
oh,
Yeah.
this is nice.
So far, it's been pretty unseasonable. Well, as far as I like, my first two winters were record-breaking, record-setting
Yeah.
snowfall. So maybe this is average, but it's
Set
been
the bar high.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's been thankfully lower snowfall this year.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like too bad. Like looking out the window and stuff, it's not bad at all.
Yeah.
Yet.
Yeah.
Yet.
We'll see.
Mhm.
So, have you landed on ice yet?
Yes.
How was
I
that?
have. It's fun.
Yeah.
I wish we had reverse. I won't say
Yeah.
that much, but it's fun. It's cool. There's, like I told you, like the first time I did it,
Mhm.
it just felt weird because you had like no depth perception with the runway.
Yeah.
It was just all white.
Yep.
Like, I don't know where to flare. So I kind of just accept a lot of those landings are just like, boom. But it's cool.
Yeah.
It's cool to say that you can do that too.
Yeah.
You know?
And like, it is controllable. You'd think that like
Right?
it sounds like it wouldn't be.
Yeah.
But then you get on it and it's like, oh, it's terrible, but it can make it work.
This isn't ideal, but it's
Yeah.
doing better than my car right now. So
Yeah.
it's really cool.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
So, have you had any surprises with the differences in ATC up here versus down in the States?
I love that it's just like 3 frequencies. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I can remember them all.
Yeah.
With the frequencies, not really.
Yeah.
More so like there's a lot of coverage lost.
Yeah.
That's obviously way more different than like Vegas or whatnot. Like
Yeah.
I never had that where there would just be lulls for like 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And that really sucks when you're in ice too.
Yeah.
Like, I wish I could talk to you right now, but I can't. But other than that, not that much.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Do you notice a difference in phraseology from the controllers? A more relaxed. It seems to me
Maybe more relaxed.
More relaxed, but also terse kind of has a negative intonation, but more efficient.
Mm-hmm.
Like they get the point across without always going through all the proper steps because it's so busy out of Anchorage.
Yeah, it is super busy out of there. No, I think it's a little more lax, but about the same.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
So that's nice. It's universal, I guess.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. So what do you have on the horizon? You gonna buy your own bush plane and
Cessna 170? I want to do that really bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt. Okay, we got through your multi-engine commercial. Do you have tailwheel? Do you have single engine C?
Tailwheel, not the C.
Okay.
I've done lessons in the C plane.
Oh, that's right.
With
you
Leo.
were working on it.
Yeah.
Sweet.
I still need to get that done. I'll probably head somewhere to get that done
Yeah.
just for fun.
Yeah.
But tailwheel, yes, and
Sweet.
that would be really fun to buy a tailwheel aircraft.
Yeah, up here.
Like so much fun.
You were talking about a 170?
170 is the plan.
Yeah.
But right now they're like kind of expensive, so
yeah.
We'll see if I want to squeeze into like a 140.
It's you and maybe someone else who's fit.
I know.
Yeah.
You really have to squeeze in. So I'm not I'm not sure. Maybe I'll just hold out. Like maybe I'll just wait till I can like buy a little cabin and then maybe a strip.
Oh,
That
damn,
would be
girl, going
cool.
full Alaska, huh?
Yeah, but I know like eventually up here I want to be a snowbird.
Yeah,
Like the winters seem fine so far, but I know probably eventually at some point in my life I'll want to be away from that.
yeah. It's just even in the city, it's like a lot of extra work. When it just like when it gets
Hmm.
cold, you have to plug in your cars and time those. You have
Yeah.
to uh, dress up in a super suit every time you go out. You have
Yeah.
to completely undress and then take off your snow-ridden shoes that have also gotten snow inside them and
Yeah.
put those on the boot dryer and then have extra boots ready to go.
Yeah.
And so it's like,
It seems like a lot of work,
yeah,
and it would be nice to just enjoy the good parts of Alaska and then
yeah,
maybe go down to the lower 48 with like a house down there and just wait it out and then
yeah.
come back. I
Vegas.
think that's not Vegas because I want to have a farm.
There are farms in Northwest Vegas.
There is, but it's just so hot there.
Yeah, it is.
Like there I was asking some friends when I was down, it was the longest stretch of like 116-degree days. It was like for a week.
Jesus.
Like that I don't like that.
No.
I'd rather go to like maybe Montana or Wyoming.
Ooh.
Have some horses over there.
Yeah,
Yeah, just be
horse
away.
girl.
It would be fun. So
So what about kids in a family? Is that in the
once I have like a stable
yeah,
job, like when I
like
can
a
have my
career
schedule for the month,
instead of
you know,
12 hours later? Like
right?
we get
Instead of 9 p.m.
yeah, we get a text that's supposed to come out at 9 p.m. It doesn't always. That shows who's on the schedule for the next day, and that's
And it changes all the time.
yeah,
You could check the morning and it's changed like 5 times
yeah,
and changed what you've been flying and whatnot. But yeah, I would say once I have a schedule
yeah.
and I can tell when I would need like a babysitter or something, then I would
Yeah,
have kids.
that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. So maybe like 25,
Yeah.
somewhere around there.
God, I keep forgetting how young you are.
22.
Damn, dude. That's
Yeah.
awesome to have
Yeah.
accomplished so much
Yeah.
so early.
I'm happy with it. I think it's set me up perfectly, like, because I'm turning 23 soon.
Oh yeah, and
Yeah.
that's the ATP age. I
Exactly. So
always
it's set
forget
me
because
up pretty
it's I'm
well.
so old.
You don't have to worry about that to be
No.
babysat before you're 23.
Yep.
Yeah. So I think it set me up like pretty well. I
Yeah.
think if I started earlier, that would have been too early. You know?
I've seen, and I think it's maturity and not age so much. But
Yeah,
like
maybe.
I I had this one instructor for an extra rating that I did, and the guy was like, it it was parents were both pilots. They're both uh, line pilots at United or something like that, and
Hmm.
then uh, he like his whole world was aviation, and he wanted to be a pilot from the time he was a baby. So
Hmm.
he was instructing me, and he was like maybe 19, something like that,
That's
and it was
crazy.
like, yeah, I obviously had stuff to learn from him,
Mm.
but he didn't have a lot of life context to put it in, and so it
Yeah.
was kind of weird. There was like
Mm.
his life was pretty one dimensional, and there are ways in which I uh, envy that because I didn't focus on aviation when I was younger, and so
Yeah.
I'm 36 now and
Hmm.
still working on uh,
Yeah,
uh,
but now you have a lot of hours.
yeah,
Now
but
you're doing it.
well, yeah, but I mean, like it
Took a minute.
took a minute, and
Yeah.
I could have been established in an airline.
Hmm.
So like in that way I envy it, but also I think you do benefit from having a little bit of life experience like you do,
I
and
agree.
a little bit of context to put your experience in. And so
Yeah.
I think you're closer to an optimal blend of that.
Yeah, because like I didn't always want to be a pilot. Like the first time I took a flight was when I was like 10 on a
Yeah.
little airplane. And I thought it was the coolest thing, and I was like dedicated.
Yeah.
But then when I got to excuse me, to high school,
Hmm.
I gravitated towards the medical field.
Yeah.
So I ended up working in hospitals for like 3 years,
Hmm.
and that was enough to just show me that wasn't my path.
Yeah.
It was like, all right, I got the t-shirts, like we're done. And
Yeah.
then I went back to the whole pilot thing. And
Yeah.
that's why I started at like 20, because before that I was just in hospitals.
Yeah.
And I think that was like, it was important to do that because
Yeah.
it just showed me that not everything is for you,
Yeah, absolutely.
you know, and it helped me a lot.
I think a lot of life experiences like that, it's like, you know, you don't know until you try whether you're gonna really enjoy something or not. But
Yeah.
one thing, you know, if you don't enjoy it, then you haven't, you know, it's not a loss that you tried that.
Yeah,
It's, oh,
exactly.
I now know that this
Yeah.
isn't for me.
You can still put it on a resume too. It's like
Yeah.
it can still look really good,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, I know. I think it's really good to find what you don't like.
Yeah.
And then it'll really like reinforce what you do.
Yeah.
Like, okay, this is for me. So that's how I felt with being a pilot. I was like,
Yeah.
after I took that lesson, I was like, okay, we're good. I found it.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So while you were going through your flight training, did you get any scholarships?
No.
No. Okay.
Especially like being a woman. Like, they're giving them out to women.
Yeah.
I just didn't get any.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had like college money and stuff
Yeah.
saved up, so I used most of that, and in total it was like super cheap since I went the Part 61 route.
Yeah.
And it was like really cheap, so I was able to pay everything off.
Nice.
And just have like no debt or anything.
That's awesome.
Mm.
Yeah. So, and you probably also saved a good bit because of the speed with which you went through it. I think that people assume that, you know, I've heard a lot, well, I'll just buy an hour's worth of flight this week and it's like, no, you're going to spend that hour reviewing what you forgot from last week.
Yeah.
Like do 3 or 4 flights a week minimum.
Yeah. I'd never had to go back and learn something.
Yeah.
It was always like moving forward the whole time. I never felt like I regressed. Because it's just like I never spent more than 4 days away from it. So that worked out really well.
So this has probably been the biggest break you've ever taken from flying
since
you were 10?
Yes.
That's awesome.
I was like going through the flow in my head again.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
Do I remember how to start this? I don't know.
I mean, we can get on the sim. I've got the Navajo downstairs.
That's right. Yeah, it's been a really long time since I've flown. This has been the longest for sure.
Yeah, yeah. With the slowing down of the winter, I've had to go back in there and like really carefully go through each thing and then remember like, okay,
pull
the
flows.
checklist. Yeah, exactly.
Like, wait,
you
what comes next? Yeah. So I think that's where I'm gonna be at. I hope we do our IFR check before I go. We'll see. Yeah. If not, I'll just be figuring it out. So we'll see.
Yeah. Before you go
tomorrow.
Oh, to fly?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
If it's on the Bonanza.
Yeah.
Same thing.
Yeah.
You just need right rudder.
Yeah. I forget about that every time I fly single now. I'm like,
me too. Climbing out.
I should not be looking at the cemetery, right?
Right. That's funny.
Yeah. That thing, it also, going back to a naturally aspirated, and like shoving the throttle forward, and it's like, oh, there it is.
There it is.
Like in the Navajo, I put in full throttle when I'm 90 degrees to the runway, and it takes that long to the full turn before it actually starts spooling up.
Yeah.
So you've got some time on the.
Yeah, the Bonanza goes. It definitely goes. It is really fun. I do like it.
Yeah.
It is cool. It's just the right rudder thing. I forget about. Oops.
So what's next career-wise? You've talked about flying the Queen of the Skies someday.
Yeah, that would be cool. It's either Kalita or Atlas for me.
Yeah.
Because they both have the 7.4s.
Yeah.
That would be really cool. I mean, if I got into one of those, I'd probably be a for-lifer there.
Yeah.
You know, like the schedule seems nice. I like long periods of time working and then periods of time off. I think that's really nice. It's like the international traveling would be really, really, really cool.
Yeah.
I think that would be awesome. So either one of those. No passengers though for me.
No. Is Kalita cargo?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. Nice.
And they actually like don't really have a base. They just fly you to
Wherever you're
wherever, and they pay for your commute, which is really nice.
perfect.
So that's the long-term plan.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll see
Nice.
how long it takes to get there, but
Well, you're on a rocket ship, so it shouldn't be
right.
too long.
Yeah.
Sweet. Well, Lilou, Stitch, Bosse, thanks for coming on the Pirate.
I appreciate it.
Oh, we didn't.